Y'all, hey, welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for stopping by. Y'all, I thought with it being, sorry about that. I thought that with it being the end of May and with spring being in full swing, check it out, it is in full spring here. We're all green and springy. I thought we could sit outside and do a quick recap of all the books we read in May. So I tell you what, y'all go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you can keep up with the shenanigans. I will get the felons settled. I'll get my books out here. I'll get set up in my swingy chair, and we'll talk about what we read in May. All right, so I'll be right back. Did y'all notice it was starting to sprinkle when we were out there? Oh, it was starting to sprinkle. I noticed right after I cut off the camera and turned around to come in and get my books, big old like raindrops were falling on my glasses. So I was like, normally if I was just hanging out outside and it was just like me and the felons and not, all my books and my camera and all my stuff, I would have stayed out there in the rain because it's just rain. But with all the things, I was like, ugh. We got to go in the house. So I lit a candle, can y'all see the candle, to make myself feel better, and we're back in the house. So let's get into this, y'all. In no particular order, because of course I can never remember the order in which I read things, let's talk about some books. So I started, and many of these y'all have seen through various hauls. I started with, because let's start this conversation with The Hating Game. Y'all, this book is so cute. Now, I have said, if y'all watched my video about getting off of Goodreads and using the story graph and hardcover, which I'm inevitably going to call hard copy at some point, but hardcover and those where you can do partial stars. You don't have to do like 1 star, 2 star, those. So you can give a book something between, you don't have to go like full on 5 stars, but you want to give it more than 4 stars. I'm going to do that. I haven't done it yet, but, and y'all, every time I keep saying like, I'm going to inadvertently say this instead of that, and then I say what I'm going to say. I always almost say partial points or partial credit because I'm a teacher. And students are always like, is there partial credit? Like if you only get something half wrong, do you get half points? So when I talk about like partial stars, my brain immediately thinks partial credit. Anyway, The Hating Game, such a cute book. So it's enemies. These two work together and they're not even frenemies. They're kind of frenemies. They're like enemies, but in like a playful way. And this is Lucy and Joshua. And so Lucy has come up with all of these games like that she plays in her head because, okay, so their companies, I think their companies like merged or something, or like his company bought her company or something. So each of them is like the executive assistant of like used to be the head of one of the companies. So now they have to work together because their bosses have to work together. So they have to work together. So she's constantly coming up with these like games in her head to play like against him in the office all day long. And it's super cute. Like, it's a little bit like Vapid. It's kind of silly, but it's very cute. I enjoy, y'all know me in dialogue, right? If there's good dialogue and like good banter, I can do it. Good dialogue, good banter. It's very funny. It's witty. The writing in it is witty. And so, of course, like the story writes itself. They're enemies and the companies have merged and it's actually really kind of interesting. So they're in publishing and Lucy's boss is female and Josh's boss is male. And like Josh's side of the company is very masculine and Lucy's side of the company is very feminine. And they end up trying to do like team building things to bring the companies together. It's just very cute. But I don't want to say, as always, I don't want to say too much, but the book is about the interactions between these two characters and sort of how they go from being like office enemies to frenemies to not being enemies anymore. which, I mean, no spoiler there, y'all. Of course, that's what it's about. It's a rom-com. So very cute, very fun. It's a bit predictable, but I mean, it's a rom-com. So I enjoyed Sally Thorne's writing in this. It's the only one of her books that I've ever read, but I think I will definitely read more of her books. So that's the first book on our list. Now let's talk about, I'm trying to, you know what, let's go ahead and do this one, which is similar. And I think I bought these together. Maybe they were one of those, like, I don't know, buy two, get one free, something. I don't know. Anyway, Sarah Hogle is the author who wrote a Christmas book that I can never remember the name of. It's something about Christmas magic. I'm going to stick it up here somewhere. But in the book, the holiday spirit, y'all, it's so silly, but I loved that book from like the second paragraph. I was just in love with the book. Her writing is very quick. I just enjoy her style. The banter between the characters is very good. It's very quick. And it's not even believable because that book is about, I can't remember the female main character. I have no idea what her name is, but she's like she was some kind of social media like influencer, let me slow down. Social media influencer or something who lost her influence. So she was home and like hiding, like she didn't want her family to know, she didn't want anybody to know. So she wasn't seeing her family while the holidays were coming, and she was finna have to go see her family, and like they were gonna learn all these things. So somehow she ended up playing All I Want for Christmas Is You backwards, and she was just schnocker drunk. I can't remember how it happened, but when she did that, it brought the holiday spirit, like in human form, to life in her house. So somehow she ends up fake dating Hal, the holiday spirit, and y'all, it's just so fun and so goofy. And I just devoured that book. I just loved it. And now, in my defense, I read it at Christmas time. So, throw some holiday spirit on me and I am down. So that was my first and only other ever Sarah Hogle experience. Loved it. So when I saw this, I was like, maybe we will. So You Deserve Each Other is Naomi and, I want to say Joshua, but that's wrong. Nicholas. Naomi and Nicholas are engaged, and things aren't going well. Like they're like faking being happy together. The intern's about to walk in, so if you hear noise over there, that's why. They're like faking being happy together, and turns out that she doesn't want to be she don't want to be with him anymore, but she knows that if she breaks the engagement, that she's going to have to pay like all of these I almost said irrefundable, which is not a word, non-refundable deposits and all of this that his overbearing mom has paid. So she figures out that he also doesn't want to be engaged anymore. So they end up trying to make the other break the engagement. Y'all, it is so cute and so fun. And again, cute banter. I'll be honest, I started getting annoyed by the whole thing because they're just mean to each other. Like they're doing mean things. And I know that's like the point of the whole story, but it got to be a little bit of a lot at some points. Like some of the stuff she did was just mean. But anyway, it really is a very cute story. The way that the story develops is cute and believable, and you start to see the development arc of Naomi's character is really interesting to watch. Like she starts to, y'all, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give any spoilers, but let me just say that both of them each of them starts to see themselves through the other's eyes. And it's really interesting. And like there were times that it kind of made me think like, I wonder if I do that. Or I don't know, like it causes you to be introspective in sort of like low-key kind of way. Like, it doesn't come right out and like present itself as a self-help book, which it's not. It's a rom-com, but it really does make you think about things. Like, think about the way that you interact with others and the way that you see how somebody else acts, and look at it as, is that a reflection of how I'm acting towards them? It's really interesting. But anyway, y'all, it's a super cute book. I really, really enjoyed it. And I mean, the fact that I picked it just based on the fact that I had liked a book by this author before had me a little bit nervous, but it was a really good pick. So this is another thumbs up on yet another random pick. All right, hang on. Let me go talk to the intern. I'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that. Let's talk about The Housemaid. Yeah, I do have to keep looking at to make sure I say Housemaid, not The Handmaid. Y'all, so good. So I knew going into this there was something about a room with a lock on the outside of the door. So the housemaid, Millie, this is definitely one of those I don't want to say too much. Millie goes to work for a rich family and learns during the interview that, I think it's during the interview, that they have this like room in the attic. Sorry, there's a felon right here. Daisy, go lay down. That there's a room in the attic with, that's the like locked, that it locks from the outside. And the mistress who's like showing around is like, oh, I don't know, it's just been here forever. We don't know, it's always just, we don't know why. There's kind of a lot to that. So Millie, we learn from pretty early on that Millie has a criminal history. So she's pretty desperate to find a job. And I mean, you realize like in the very beginning when you learn that about Millie, that that's going to be an issue, like that because of her criminal history and that she has such a hard time finding a job, that it's going to, that she's going to be easy to, I don't know if take advantage of is the right word, but that's going to allow people to exert control over her, or at least you get that feeling. And y'all, the twists and turns in this book, it's very interesting. The banter is good. It's a little bit predictable, but then the things that you predict, you're like, wait, that's not what I thought was happening there. Then there are some things that you figure out as you're going along. If you're not a fan of morally gray characters, this is not the book for you, because I don't think, y'all, fans of this book, correct me in the comments. I can't think of a single actual like innocent character in this book. Like everybody's up to something. So that's all I'm going to say, because I feel like I've already said too much, but everybody's up to something. I haven't read, I think there are 3 in this series now, and Frida McFadden's written a bunch of books. This is the only one I've read so far, but y'all, it was very enjoyable. I read it, and y'all know, well, you may have seen, I did a video about book subscription services. I can't think of the names of them right now. Kindle Unlimited and the one that used to be Scribd. Anyway, this was the audio version of this was on the Scribd one. So I read it and then I listened to it some on audio and I read it some more. The audio version of this is, at least the parts that I listened to were really good. So I went back and forth, but of course, because I don't know how that works in Scribd now that I'm saying it. If you read and listen in Scribd, I don't know if it'll do like WhisperSync does with Kindle and Audible, but I mean, I would just stop at a chapter, you know what I mean? Like, so I would stop reading at a chapter and then start listening at the beginning of the next chapter. So that made it easy to hand off. But anyway, I don't know why I felt a need to go into that. Very good, very twisty and turny, kept me on a tack the whole time. So after I read this and was all like this for a couple of days, then I was like, oh, well, why not read this? Super relaxing, won't get me any more keyed up. And this, seriously, these books, the Mind F series, this is 5 or 6 books. I'm afraid to look at the back of the book because I'm afraid I'm going to see a page that's going to tell me something that's going to spoil the whole thing for me, so I'm not going to do it. But this is, it's 5 books, books 1 through 5 of the Mind F series. So I had read book 1 for my random picker picks my books. it picked book 1 for me of the Mind F series. So I had to stop at the end of book 1 and couldn't go into book 2. So I read book 2. Y'all, these books are so good and they're so twisted. And the writing is really good. The character development is actually better than I thought it would be. So I've told you nothing about these books. Did I tell you? I told you something about this one, right? That Millie is, she has a criminal background and she gets a job for these rich people as their maid. She's a live-in maid and things go wonky and bad things end up happening. And that's literally all I'm going to tell you. So I guess I intentionally didn't tell you anything about those. The Mind F series, our female main character is a serial killer, but she's killing folks that need killing. Like, kind of like Dexter, but Dexter like in her own personal life. Like the people that she's killing like legit need killing. And then there's like something changes in book 2. I mean, she's still killing folks. And she's dating an FBI agent who hunts serial killers. So he's a profiler. It's really good. Y'all, the interaction between those characters is really good. The profiler boyfriend's team, very good, very interesting. The way that they interact, so good. And the way that the serial killer deals with the fact that her boyfriend is an FBI profiler and that all of the people around him are like FBI profiler people, so good. So I've only read 2 of the books in here so far. I almost went straight into book 3, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this slow. I'm just going to read them like in dribs and drabs, a little bit at a time. So I read one of the Mind F books, and then I was like, I need to calm down. I need to get my brain out of killing and dismembering and those kind of things. So then I read Done and Dusted. And I've had this one for a while, and I've meant to read it for a while, and I just hadn't. And y'all, I've had this in like different stacks to talk about, and now we're going to talk about it. So I enjoy the story. It's obviously a cowboy romance. Y'all know how I love those. We have a strong female main character, Emmy or Clementine, who's like a bronco breaker bucket, something about horses riding breaker thing. She rides like hard horses. She does hard horse riding. I know a lot about these things. That's Emmy. And the bad boy brother's best friend, that's him with his lips mashed up to her. So you can imagine what happens there. It's fantastic. I love the writing. I like the banter. I like everything about this book except, y'all, oh my God, how much do I not want to talk about this? I don't like the sex in this book. And it's kind of... It's not, I don't even know how to talk about this because, like, y'all, I loved Butcher and Blackbird. I don't require milquetoast sex scenes, but I feel like the way that the sex is presented in this book is degrading to Emmy, is degrading to the female, and I don't like it at all. And I don't like that... I don't know if this is a young adult or a new adult book, meaning not like high school or like teenagers, but like 20-ish something people. Now, let me say this. You do you. Like, you know, whatever consenting people do, then good on you. Like, you know, if it makes you happy and it, you know, you find it fulfilling in your relationship, that's great. But I don't like the way that this book presents what I think is a degrading sexual relationship between a very strong woman and a man who respects her. Like some of the stuff that he does to her, I'm like, I think it's degrading and I think it's gross. And I think that I don't like the idea of young women reading this and thinking that that's like sexy and cool and that that's what a strong man does when he finds a woman hot. I just think it's disgusting. And I'm not talking about like slapping a woman on the ass or like catcalling. Like, it's not that kind of party. Like, this is for real degrading stuff. So I like the book. I like the writing. Don't like that. So I really want to read the next book in the series. Haven't done so yet. So y'all, if anybody has read this book, and I mean, whether you felt that way about that, hang on, y'all. Give me 1 second. Sorry, the intern was leaving. I don't know where I was, but if you've read this and whatever you thought about the sexes, whatever, but let me know in the comments if you've read this and you've read like the other books in this series. If the sex is the same, please let me know. If not, let me know that too. And let's get off of this topic because I'm so uncomfortable talking about this. Let's talk about my reread of Flawless. I think we talked about this, so I don't want to get all up into this, but y'all, this is cowboy romance at its best. Hottie, rodeo cowboy, not bad boy, but I mean kind of bad boy, like can't get out of his own way, like is always getting himself in trouble because of his mouth and his attitude. Like said something negative about a big money sponsor, got himself in trouble. So his agent sends his brilliant hottie daughter to babysit the rodeo cowboy. It is so good, y'all. It's like wholesome, but not in an annoying way. It's just really cute and it's fun. And there's some brown chicken, brown cow in here. So this was a reread because I just had to like flush this out of my brain. Read this. It was very, very good. And then I love Abby Jimenez. I knew I would love this when I saw it. Knew I would love it when I got it. Knew I would love it when I started reading it, and I love it. We've talked about Abby Jimenez before, that she writes characters who make sense. Like her characters will do socially conscious things that make sense for the characters. And y'all, it drives me bananas when an author just like shoves in social conscious stuff on a character where it doesn't make sense. Drives me berserker. But Abby Jimenez writes characters that are sort of like fleshed out enough and they're full enough as characters that when they do something or say something or get mad about something that's like that they see as being, you know, not fair to somebody or not, you know, a lack of equality or whatever it is, it makes sense because she's made it make sense for that character to feel or act that way. Love that about her. So Just for the Summer is a relationship between these two, Emma and Justin, that's supposed to be just for the summer. Because, and we learned this super early, like chapter 1, that Emma and Justin, like all of their relationships, they're always like their boyfriend or girlfriend, like the next person that their boyfriend or girlfriend dates is always like their forever person. So they're the person before their people's forever people. So they come up with this plan that they're going to date just for the summer. And then once they break up, that each of them will find their forever person, because every time Emma breaks up with somebody, the guy finds his forever person. And when Justin breaks up with somebody, the girl finds her forever person. So they'll work their magic on each other and then they'll find their forever people and it'll be all good. So it's just really cute, y'all. And I don't want to tell you too much, but she's a traveling nurse. So, and he, of course, lives in Minnesota because that's what Abby Jimenez's jam is. And so they're never gonna, so she gets assigned to places for like, I don't know, 3-month contracts or whatever. And they always go really cool places like Hawaii or, you know, whatever, like cool, fun places to be. And middle of the backwoods, Minnesota is not on their list of places to go. But of course, she ends up going, and just for the summer. So I'm like babbling about in circles because y'all, I want so desperately to tell you about this book without telling you about it. I loved it. It was so, so, so good. Again, Abby Jimenez writes great characters. Her banter is great. Her story development is really good. The twists, oh my word, like talk about not seeing, like even the stuff that you think you see coming, it's not what you see. What you think is coming is not really what comes. So fantastic book. Yeah, fantastic book. I finally read Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I know everyone has read this book. I know, y'all, I know. I think this is probably is it called New Adult? I know we just talked about that. This is for like young grown-up people. It's about a couple, Macy and Elliot, who were like a couple way back when, and then I can't remember if they I think they didn't even stay friends. I think they didn't stay in touch. And they run into each other again as adults. And the story is told in alternating timelines. And I think hang on, let me look. I think it's alternating first person perspectives between the two of them. But it's not, no, I think no. It's third person. But it alternates between their current day and back when they were kids. And y'all, the kids that they were these nerdy kids that would hang out at this, don't want to say too much, summer house and read books together. Oh my word. Oh my goodness. It is so sweet and so charming, and it will rip your heart out. Like straight rip your heart out and stomp that sucker flat. It is so good. So now I have so my Christina Lauren thing, I wanted to say Jingle All the Way, that's not it, In a Holidays, and I didn't like it. But I liked their writing, and Christina Lauren are two people. So, and I never know if you're supposed to refer to them as one person or two people, so I always say Christina Lauren and try not to use pronouns. But I enjoyed in a Holidays, I enjoyed the writing and the banter and all the things. I just didn't like the story, like the way that I just thought it didn't work. And everybody loves Christina Lauren, so I was like, I'm gonna give it another try. Love it. So now I got to give it another try and break the tie between the didn't like and the like. So this is definitely a liked. So that was that. Then I got two more. I got three more. From Blood and Ash. Now this I alternated between reading and listening to. I have the Audible. So I read the book, I read the Kindle, and I listened to it on Audible. And this is, of course, I mean, you can tell by looking at it, it's a fantasy. And it's the first of like 5 or 6, maybe 7 in this series. It's about this society of haves and have-nots. And it's kind of like rich and poor, but the rich, like the people sort of inside the walls, have this power. So our main character is Poppy, and she's chosen. She is supposedly chosen as the maiden. And when her time comes, she will ascend and I guess come into her power. And when that happens, so before that happens, there's something going on. There's this dark force or dark power that is threatening the kingdom. And there are a couple of incidents in the book where things come and attack, and they have to be protected from it. And I'm trying really hard not to tell anything or too much. But when Poppy ascends, that's supposed to, things are supposed to be better. Well, of course, when there is a society where there's, a power or some group has power or something, there are always questions, right? There are always people whispering about what you to the people in power, or to Poppy, what you think is happening is not really what's happening. Or the role you think you're going to play is not really what's going to happen. So Poppy is made, and there are things that Poppy knows that are happening that she's not supposed to know about. So she already knows that there's not this, sort of altruistic power thing going on. She knows there's something sketch going on. So then she starts hearing these other things happening, like about people who have been sent to serve. What's really happening with them? And she's like, oh, wait, what? So we learned, and this, again, there are like 5 or 6 books, maybe 7 books. So, and of course the first book is always the world building, right? So there's just so much of like setting the groundwork in the first book. But so there were parts of this that I thought dragged a bit, and then parts that were absolutely riveting. If y'all remember, I talked about that I was reading a book when I was in the bookstore, and I was listening to it on Audible, and like out loud, as I was holding another book, went, wait, what just happened out loud? It was this book. So yeah, it's that kind of party at times. Absolutely riveting. I will 100% read at least the next book, if not all the next books, and see what in the world Poppy has gotten herself into, because y'all, things are getting really shady, like really shady when at the end of this one. So I know I just told you absolutely nothing. I'm sorry, but it's really good and very, very exciting. So that's that. Then I read Leigh Bardugo's The Familiar. Y'all, this is a period novel. And this one, for me, was a bit, I enjoyed it. I love Leigh Bardugo's writing. I need to read this again, honestly. It was a bit of a struggle at times because it's kind of like the Secret History. Is that what it is? That the dark academia book that I read that was just, I liked it, but it was just very slow and such a grind. This was that way for me at times. It's about a servant in a house in Madrid who, during the time of the Inquisition, used magic. Like she had magic, and she used magic just to do little like parlor tricks. Well, she caught the attention of some people, so she was entered into a competition. And I think I've already said too much, but she's entered into a competition and she attracts some more attention. And again, as I said, it's during the time of the Inquisition. So you can imagine how things go from there. And y'all, the book is just so beautifully written. At times, this is one of those that at times, and I hate to use the word lyrical because I feel like it's just cheesy, but at times the prose in this book are truly lyrical. And it's an interesting story that will break your heart. Like at times it is just so sad. And it's one of those that it's hard to talk about. Like our main character is Jewish, and she has to live, she's a Judaizer, so she's a Jewish girl who has to live as a Christian and deny her Judaism because of the place and the time in which she lives. And it's just hard to read. Like it's beautifully written, and those bits of her character are like, it's not overstated or overblown, but you can see those threads in her character, how her Jewishness makes her stronger and how hard it is for her to deny it. But at the same time, while she's denying it, how it lives on in her. It's just, y'all, it's really beautiful, and it's so brilliantly done. And like I said, I need to read it again, and I'm going to wait a little while and just sort of like let it sit. And I might read it again around, I don't know, Thanksgiving, like fall time. I don't know why it feels like a fall book to me, but it's absolutely fantastic. And I am not a historical fiction fan. I don't read much historical fiction, but this is an absolute work of art. So with that being said, I have one more book to talk about, and that's Icebreaker. Y'all, I wanted so much to like this book. I don't like it. And so, like I said, I was doing my like 30-day test drive of Scribd. What is it? Evermore. Ever After, ever whatever it is. So this was free to read on their app. Is it Evermore? Ever whatever it is. App, the Scribd, the books where Scribd has like sorted its books to. So I was reading it on there. And if you saw my video about those subscription sites, you know that I didn't like the setup of the apps. So I tried it on different devices, just couldn't get comfortable reading on there. And I was like, all right, well, maybe I just don't like the book because I'm trying to read it on this app that I don't like. So then I went and bought it on Kindle. Like I bought it from Amazon and was reading it on my Kindle because I was like, I got to give it a chance. Which I really don't got to give it a chance, but I wanted to like give it a full-on chance because I was going to review it. So, all right, hang on. Let me back up and tell you what it's about. So just as I predicted, it's this feud between figure skater and hockey player. And y'all, it has like all of the things that I need to like a book. It's got the hockey team. It's got the big beefy athletes. It's got the masculine, like kind of masculine jockish characters. I found the figure skater, Anastasia, to be absolutely vapid. Like I wanted to slap her from jump. Like there was just nothing about her that I liked. She wanted so much to be mad at Nate, the captain of the hockey team, and to like blame him and be mad at him for things that she just annoyed me. Like I just found that annoying. I didn't find the banter awful, but it wasn't good. Oh, and the show don't tell, y'all, seriously. This is another one of those that will, and there was a section that I was going to read to y'all so that you could see what I meant, but it's kind of it's early on in the book, but it's kind of like a big thing. So if you want to read the book, I didn't want to spoil it, but big things, like big plot points that we as the reader should go through, like with the characters as it happens, are just told to us in like a paragraph, and a really poorly written like 2 paragraphs, to the point where I had to reread the same paragraph like 4 times. And y'all, I teach middle school writing. So some of the vapid, just bad writing that I read on a regular basis that I can understand and get through, I should not have to reread published writing 3 or 4 times to understand what in the actual world they're talking about. So, and that was just this author trying to do too much all at once. Like, stretch it out. Tell us the actual story. So show don't tell drives me crazy. Like when you tell us something instead of showing it to us, drives me berserk. I cannot get past that. Like I would sooner read mediocre banter than you telling me something instead of showing it to me. So this just bombed for me. Not like Peace Like a River bomb, but it just was not good. So, but of all of these books, like here's my stack. It's all like kitty wampus now. And I did arms today, so ow. But of all of these, only one of them I didn't love. Like, I think I loved every other book on here, but this one, yeah, it just wasn't good. I finished it, but yeah, I feel like a little bit of my soul died reading this book because it just wasn't good. So no more Hannah Grace for me. Yeah, no. I was going to say unless, no, there is no unless, because it's bad writing. Like with this, where'd it go? Done and dusted? Good writing, just... Let's not get back into that, but y'all know my thoughts on that. So please tell me that the sex in the other books isn't like it is in this book, because I really want to like them. I really want to read them, but I ain't reading no more of that stuff. So, y'all, that's it. Those are all of my books that I have read in May. So let me get out of here. But y'all, let me know in the comments. What are you reading? What did you read in May? What do you have coming up? Y'all. On, I think it's June 6th, The next book, is it Leather and Lark, Lark and Leather, whatever it is, the next book in the Butcher and Blackbird series comes out very, very soon. So I need to wrap up reading what I'm reading right now, because the instant that that book drops, I'm gonna read it. So that's what I have coming up. I have my Emily Henry book here to read, Funny Stories, so I'm gonna read that. Maybe we'll read that together. Maybe we'll read that together. And I have another, what's her name? Elsie Silver. I have, is it Wild Love? I have Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I have Emily Henry. And then I have Butcher and Blackbird book 2 coming up. So y'all, that's what I've got coming up to read in June. What are y'all going to be reading in June? Let us know in the comments. Y'all, thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you made it this far, we are most definitely friends. So go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you can keep up with the shenanigans. I upload food and fitness videos at the beginning of every week with some book videos sprinkled in between. See you on the next one.